Hi folks, welcome to Crisco's Corner. Unfiltered commentary. And not your truth, the real truth. Please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for your support. Welcome back. I'm going to do something I haven't done in a while. Go over a chess game. It's one of my passions, one of my favorite things since I've been playing since I was a small boy. I'll be 65 this November. And those of you that aren't chess players out there, boy, I'll tell you, you're missing out. It isn't just a game. It's a representation of life. All the good and all the bad that entails. Where you sit there and you try and you try and you try and you try and you make one small mistake. Bang, you're done. It's unfair. It's cruel. It's a love-hate relationship, just like life. But when it works, it works. And the one thing that non-chess players don't get is the beauty of the game. It's a beautiful game. And that's why this game will outlast all the rest. And it's been going on for over 1,000 years anyway, in some shape, way, or form. And this is a game that was played in the CROATIA BLITZ tournament. This is the one where Garry Kasparov is playing in today. Granted, it's BLITZ, 5-minute. And it's not the best quality, but it's exciting to watch. And you're thinking to yourself, John, how can it be exciting? It's chess. It's like watching paint dry. No, not at all. And those of you that are just starting to play, continue on. Because once you get the bug, you'll always have it. But this is a game I wanted to show the beauty of it. And what can you do with it with your mind? And you're pressed against time. You've got seconds left on your clock. You're playing speed chess because BLITZ is 5 minutes for each side. And blunders happen. Amazing things happen. Anyway, enough of my yakking. Let's get to it. As you can see on the top, the time control is 5 minutes plus 2 seconds, which means every time you move, you get 2 seconds added on your clock. If your time runs out, you lose. As White, a Van Forest from the Netherlands, great player. I believe these are his BLITZ ratings. They're almost 2,700. And Korobov from Russia is almost 2,700. Now, in real life, in the classical, over the board games, these guys are well over 2,700. They're world-class players. So what I decided to do was I have a Stockfish 10. It's a little bit older, but for our purposes, it'll work, computer. And if those of you that don't play or are not familiar with how this works, you see the 3 lines below. Those are suggestions for White. Now, it's White's move now. And the computer's suggesting knight f3, c3, knight c3. And as it's going through and looking at it in depth, it changes its mind. But on the top right is a scorecard for the game. So we'll go through that. It's going to be a French Targe. I am not a French player. I don't like playing French. I hate playing against it. I play the Scandinavian against E4, and often that transposes into the French, so maybe I should learn it. Get outside my comfort zone a little bit. So let's go through the game here. Just go through the opening, pretty much standard stuff. Takes. Bishop pins the knight. And those who don't know what that means, those who don't know what that means is this knight can't move now. It can't move because he'll lose the queen. Or excuse me, he'll be in check. A little rusty on my chess commentary, but I'll get there. Castles for White. Now, he could have taken. If he had taken here, bishop takes, White castles. This other knight comes over. This knight is guarding this knight. He can't move because he'll be in check, but At least he has a protection besides his pawn. He castled instead, and knight went to g7. Now, look on the computer. It's pretty much even. Small advantage for white, which you'll get at the beginning because white moves first. Or the light color moves first. For those of you that use black and white pieces. Finally, the pawn takes. Bishop takes, like we said. Now, white develops his knight there. Now, that's the one thing I don't like about this, to be honest with you, is the fact this bishop is kind of screwed over. He just is. And he's got no scope here because this knight's in the way. But white wants to have this pawn here because he has to control this square. That's an important square, center square. So just like anything else in life, to gain something, you've got to give up something. That's why I compare life to chess all the time. It's really incredible. White castles. Now, this is something I was a little surprised. Excuse me, black castles. This I was a little surprised, but it kind of proved my point in a way. Knight to b3. Now, what he did was his bishop's trying to get out, and being the knight was here. But he also hits this bishop, forcing him to either go here or here. So he goes back. H3. I like that move a lot because what happens now is this square, this bishop comes here and pins this knight against this queen. That's a big pain in the ass. And you don't want to move your light squared bishop back to E2 because he's doing really good work there, pinning black's knight. So you put that pawn there to guard that square. You might have gone E1 instead. And then bishop F5 is an alternative. Queen to D6. Knight. Get that knight right out there in the center. Now that's a really good knight for a couple of reasons. There's no pawns on either side of this knight that can harass him. So the only way you can get rid of that knight in the center of the board is either take him with a bishop or a dark squared bishop or another knight. But he could have gone A4 instead. That's an alternative. Then, of course, chase the bishop. Bishop has to come back. H6. I don't like that as much. I like the continuation what they had. Knight takes. Knight takes. Okay. Look on the computer. It's small advantage for black. Third of a pawn, quarter of a pawn. Probably because he has a center pawn. It's probably just because he has a center pawn here. And it controls a couple of key squares. Knight. Now he wants to challenge that knight right away. That knight's in a really good spot and covering a lot of good squares. Does white want to give it up? I mean, would you? Knight takes. Knight takes. Bishop takes. And what you've done is white's gotten rid of his really, really good knight in the center of the board. And at the same time, by recapturing the bishop, he helped black pick up a tempo. That's a move for people that don't know. So he basically got a free move. Well, you don't want to do that. So he moved his knight back. I'd do the same thing. I would not have traded. Well, I'll give you an idea. Bishop takes. And we get this. About as exciting as watching paint dry on this one. I mean, it even says 0.00 on the computer. What a snore fest. Yeah, you want to be safe. You want to play, but you want to have some fun, too. I mean, he goes H6 just to guard this square. Controlling squares is what a lot of this game is about. Bishop D3. Bishop D7. This way, he connects his rooks. Rooks are a lot better connected. Plus, it gets him off the back row, and now he's got some scope here. Queen to c2. I was a little iffy on that. But it's not a bad move. But the thing is, though, now white is starting to win a piece with, as you can see, bishop takes, queen takes, and white wins a piece. So he goes queen f6. Logical. He figures, what the hell, right? Now I got my queen guarding that spot. If I decided to take, I'll be good. Bishop takes, or even queen takes. Rook d1. Get that rook on that open file. That's what you want. You want your rooks especially. They're like, those of you that don't play, those of you that are like in the military, they're artillery pieces, and they need open space. An artillery piece can't fire very far if there's a bunch of stuff in its way. It needs open space, open ground. That's basically what a rook is. He's an artillery piece. Rook e8. Now, this is something the computer had a question mark. I don't think it's a question mark. Its second suggestion on and below on the computer is bishop to f4. Probably maybe just a hair better, but it's really splitting hairs is bishop here. I don't think bishop f4 is a problem at all. It covers some key squares, and also you can bring back the bishop for protection for the king. But the computer says should be considered bishop d2. Give me a break. The only problem they don't like is when you do this. Now, there's your problem. Now what you're looking at, and that's why the computer likes d2 instead, is the fact that this queen is now hitting this bishop, and black is threatening this knight. Now, there's nothing else protecting the knight but this pawn. You take with a pawn, it leaves your king wide open. That's why I didn't like it. So what do you do here? Now, the odd part is, I'm looking on the computer. After knight takes, what do you take with? The queen takes the knight, or queen takes the bishop? Those of you out there? Well, if you take the knight, queen to d2, and you lost your advantage completely. In fact, you may even have some problems. But if you take the bishop, now the knight is what they call in pre. It's for free. This knight is now hanging. So where do you put him? That's the question. Decide to put him there instead, because he's looking at bishop and queen bearing down. This knight's involved in here. It could be a problem. So what do you do as black? You're looking at an attack here. Remember, this is blitz, but these are world-class players. Queen to g5 the computer likes, which makes perfect sense. Queen's guarding all the squares. Bishop takes the knight. Not real thrilled, but you can get away with it to get that attacking piece out. Or king just moves over to h8, which I'm not a big fan of. I probably would go queen g5. But black goes g6. Now, once you move the pawns in front of your king, you can't put them back. It's a weakening move. Is it the end of the world? No. But he knew this sequence was coming when he did that, and that's knight here. Now, black didn't care. He's going to lose. You're going to see an exchange because he has to take. He has to take it. Rook takes. Bishop takes. Now, you're thinking, oh boy, what's going to happen now? Well, if pawn takes, queen goes here, check on the king, and you lose the rook. He didn't want to do that. Remember, this is blitz. You got to think quickly. So he just Rook took the pawn. He got a little greedy there. Bishop comes back. Now, bishop had taken the g2 pawn. Queen takes, check, king h2. it's basically even. Black can draw this with perpetual check. But he went bishop back. White went rook to e7. Now, you're going to see what comes up here. This is why chess is such a beautiful game. Bishop c5. Hit the rook. Come up with tempo on the rook. Rook just comes back. I might have went to e2 just to guard the f-pawn. h5. Here comes the pawn. Now, you got to remember, he lost his pawn. Even though this pawn is protecting the king, it also could be an attacking piece. Come after, do a lot of damage. I'm not real thrilled on that move, b4. I mean, it's hard pressed to find a decent move for white, even though the computer says he has an advantage. This attack is coming. It's coming quick. b4, bishop goes back. Now, the computer didn't like this at all. I think it was the end of the world, but I can understand why he did it. That's queen c2, or excuse me, e2. Rook a to d1 was the computer's choice, which that makes sense as well. But after queen e2, bishop g4, now the bishop's hitting the queen. Where is the queen going to go? Not many squares left that are decent. Queen e5 is a good one. Queen here. Then, of course, the queen infiltrates, and it's a pain in the ass. So he goes to f1 for not put the queen by the king. It helps. h4, here comes the pawn. Now remember, this is blitz around move 28. What is white going to do here? What is the computer like? King h1, rook e2. He goes rook e7. And that, folks, why is that a mistake? Stop the video and see what black can do now. For those of you that didn't stop the video, h3. Here comes, as the one guy calls it, Harry the h-pawn. Now this pawn is a major attacking piece. Think of it this way. You're playing basketball or hockey. Would you rather have a 4-on-3 or a 2-on-1? You're both up one man, but the thing of it is, though, look, you've got this piece, this piece, this piece, and this piece all coming down on white's king. All of them. What does white have protection? The queen. That's why it's disaster. He moves the rook. Oh, showed that by accident. Sorry. Now, what would most of you players do here? Pawn check? What does that do? The king just comes over and you maybe saved him. Yeah, you pick up a pawn here. Big deal. But what happens is this rook comes here, the bishop comes, and you trade queens. And he's off the hook. Bishop takes check. Now, what happens if queen takes here? What happens? Pawn checks. Losing the queen. Because if the king comes here, get another queen. And that, folks, is mate. So let's back it up. What else can he do? If he moves the king, what happens? Pawn takes check. King takes. Queen comes here. Forced to go here. Check. And then queen checks. How beautiful is that? As you can see, my computer's going a little wacky here, but let's go back. What else can he do? King goes over, checks. He has to take the pawn, and like we said, here's the sequence. Look at all the pieces coming down. How beautiful is that? All coordinating together. Check, queen, and then mate. What a beautiful sequence. And I just wanted to show this game. One, I haven't done a chess video in a while, and two is I wanted to show the beauty of the coordination of pieces and the attacks that you can do. Chess is an amazing game. It's not boring. You just don't sit there. Your mind's going 100 miles an hour. I'm telling you, it's an amazing game. And for those of you that are thinking about playing or just started to play, keep doing it. I started out as a boy. I used to play on the chess team when I was in high school in the early 70s, just prior to Bobby Fischer in 1972 winning the world championship. And that sealed my fate. I was already really, really into it. But after Fischer won in 72, I got to high school in 74. I always had that bug. And it's a good bug to have. It's great for kids. It's great for seniors. It's the most beautiful game in the world. And the cool part is you can play online for free. I play on lichess.org, lichess.org. It's one of the best free ones around. World-class players play on it. You can just watch world-class players play. And there's all kinds of puzzles and lessons, and you can play yourself and get an actual rating. A decent set and a decent board is less than $20. And you can sit down there with your kids, or you can get siblings to play each other, and you can play hundreds and thousands of games for $20. Where can you say you can do that anywhere? And you'll always have that bug. Consider it like a really great hobby. But it's more than that for us that play. It is the greatest game in the world. And I think it was Garry Kasparov that said once, if you think chess is just a game, you're not playing it right. And until next time, folks, goodbye and good luck.